The morning sunlight cut through the blinds of Ridgeview High like a golden blade, slicing across the hallways filled with chatter, sneakers squeaking, and laughter that wasn't always friendly. Among the chaos moved a girl named Lena Carter, 17, quiet, reserved. The kind of person people noticed only when they needed someone to mock. Her long brown hair was tied back neatly, her books always hugged close to her chest like armor. To most people, Lena was just another shy kid who didn't talk much. But what they didn't know, what none of them could ever imagine, was who her father really was. Lena's father, Jack Carter, was a senior officer in the city's elite SWAT division. He'd spent 20 years walking into danger, disarming bombs, rescuing hostages, and training teams that faced chaos head-on. But when it came to his daughter, he was simply Dad, gentle, soft-spoken, and careful never to let his world of violence touch hers. Lena had grown up watching him polish his badge, listening to his stories, and learning the quiet strength that came from being calm under pressure. But she never told anyone what her father did. She didn't like the attention. She didn't need people to fear her because of who her dad was. She wanted to make her own identity. Unfortunately, high school doesn't respect quiet strength. It started small, a whisper in the hallway, a cruel laugh behind her, someone accidentally bumping into her locker. The ringleader was a girl named Brianna, the kind of student who ruled the social food chain through fear and fake smiles. She had two friends, Kayla and Mason, who followed her everywhere like shadows. They loved picking on people who wouldn't fight back, and Lena fit the description perfectly. But what none of them knew was that quiet didn't mean weak. It meant controlled. "Hey, Carter!" Brianna called across the hallway one morning, loud enough for everyone to hear. Lena kept walking, pretending she didn't notice. "I'm talking to you." Brianna's voice rose sharp as glass. She strutted over, her designer shoes clicking on the tile. "What's wrong?" "Too good to say he." Lena smiled politely. "I just have class." "Oh, class?" Brianna mocked. "Listen to her. Miss Perfect Student. Bet your daddy's proud." "Huh." Lena didn't answer. She just kept walking. The silence only made Brianna angrier. "Hey," she snapped, shoving Lena's shoulder. The books slipped from Lena's arms and scattered on the floor. A small crowd gathered, whispering, some recording on their phones. "Pick them up," Brianna said coldly. "You dropped them." Lena looked up at her, calm, steady. "You knocked them down." A flicker of something passed through Brianna's eyes. Maybe shock, maybe fear, but it was gone in a second. She laughed and turned to her friends. "You hear that? Little Miss Quiet's got an attitude now." Kayla smirked. "Better teach her a lesson." Mason grinned. "Yeah, before she forgets her place." Lena bent down, picking up her books one by one, her face expressionless. Inside, she felt the old lessons her father taught her whispering in her mind: stay calm, stay aware, never let anger control you, wait for the right moment. By lunchtime, the incident had spread across the school like wildfire. Memes posts, hashtags, quiet girl talks back. Everyone had an opinion, and none of them were kind. Lena ignored the messages, the laughter in the halls, the fake apologies. But that afternoon, things escalated in a way no one expected. The girls' bathroom was empty except for the echo of dripping water. Lena stood at the sink, washing her hands, her reflection calm but her heart heavy. She heard footsteps behind her, the kind that made the hairs on her neck rise. She looked up into the mirror and saw Brianna, Kayla, and Mason blocking the door. Well, Brianna said, her tone dripping with poison. "Look who thinks she's brave now." Alina turned, slowly drying her hands with a paper towel. "I don't want any trouble." Brianna stepped closer. Too late for that. Kayla crossed her arms. "You embarrassed Brianna in front of everyone." Mason leaned against the wall, smirking. "Time to fix that mistake." Lena's pulse quickened, but her face stayed calm. "Move."
"Please, or what?"
Brianna sneered. "You gonna cry? Call your daddy." She leaned in close, her perfume sickly sweet. "Oh wait, your hero's not here." The words hit Lena like a slap. "Your hero's not here." They echoed in her mind, cruel and mocking. Brianna smiled as if she'd won, and before Lena could react, Brianna's hand shot out, grabbing Lena by the neck and shoving her backward into the wall. The impact made a hollow thud. The other two laughed, the sound bouncing off the tiles. Lena gasped, her eyes wide. For a split second, fear froze her, but then training kicked in. Every lesson her father had taught her came flooding back in flashes. Control your breathing. Keep your balance. Assess. React. Let go. she said quietly. "Oh look, she's talking back again," Brianna mocked, tightening her grip. Lena's hands moved fast, one grabbing Brianna's wrist, twisting it down at an angle that forced her to release. In one fluid motion, Lena stepped aside and shoved Brianna back, her instincts sharp but measured. "I said, let go." The laughter stopped. For a moment, there was silence, only the sound of Brianna catching her breath and the dripping faucet. Then Kayla snarled, "You're gonna regret that?" She lunged forward, but before she could reach Lena, the bathroom door swung open. "Hey, what's going on here?" shouted a teacher's voice. The bullies froze. Brianna quickly fixed her hair, forcing a fake smile. "Nothing, Mrs. Davis. Just talking." Lena didn't say a word. She simply picked up her bag and walked out, her calm steps echoing in the hall. But inside she was shaking, not from fear, but from restraint. She knew what she could have done if she let herself go. She knew her father's training well enough to defend herself easily. But he had always told her real strength is control. That night, she sat at the dinner table, pushing food around her plate. Her father watched her quietly, noticing the faint red mark on her neck. "Rough day?" he asked gently. Lena hesitated. "Just school stuff." Jack's eyes narrowed slightly. "That mark on your neck, someone do that to you?" She looked down, then sighed. "It's fine, Dad. I handled it." Jack leaned back, studying her. "Handled it? How?" "I didn't fight back. I walked away." He nodded slowly. "Sometimes that's the hardest kind of strength." But his jaw tightened. He knew that kind of bruise. He'd seen too many like it in his line of work. He didn't push her further, but something inside him shifted, a protective storm quietly building. The next morning, Lena walked into school trying to pretend everything was normal. But the whispers were louder now. Videos of the bathroom incident, half-truths, edited angles, had started circulating online. In the distorted version, it looked like she was the aggressor. "Crazy quiet girl attacks Brianna!" The captions read. Her phone buzzed nonstop, hate messages, laughter. Lies. It was spreading faster than she could breathe. By lunchtime, she could barely eat. She sat alone in the corner of the cafeteria, head down. Mason and Kayla were across the room, showing everyone the video and laughing. Brianna sat at the center, pretending to cry while soaking in the sympathy. That's when she heard it again. "Hey, Carter." Brianna's voice cut through the noise. "How's your neck? Or should I say, your ego?" The cafeteria burst into laughter. Lena froze, her hand trembling slightly as she set down her fork. Her breathing slowed. The lessons came back. Stay calm. Stay centered. Don't let them own your reaction. Then Brianna said something that crossed the line. "Wes, your daddy's too busy pretending to be a hero to care about his little loser daughter." The laughter died. Even her own friends looked uneasy now. But Brianna didn't stop. "What, you gonna cry? Oh, wait, your hero's not here." That phrase again. "Your hero's not here." Lena looked up slowly, her eyes different this time, colder, sharper. "You should stop," she said quietly. "Or what?" Brianna sneered. "You'll twist my wrist again." Before Lena could respond, a heavy silence fell across the cafeteria. The doors opened, and in stepped Jack Carter, in uniform, his SWAT badge shining on his chest, his eyes scanning the room like a hawk. He walked with quiet authority, the kind that didn't need words. Every student turned. The bullies froze. Even the teachers stood up, startled. Jack's gaze found his daughter instantly. He saw her sitting alone, surrounded by whispers and stares. His jaw clenched. He turned to the nearest teacher. "I need to see the principal." "Now." Brianna's face went pale. Mason muttered, "Is that
Her dad."
Kayla whispered, "He's sdoot." The cafeteria was dead silent as Jack walked past them. His badge glinted in the light. When he reached Lena, he placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "You okay?" She nodded faintly. "Dad, what are you?" He looked at her neck again, saw the faint bruise, and his expression hardened. Then his voice, calm but commanding, filled the room. "Who did this?" No one moved, no one spoke. Jack scanned the students one by one until his eyes landed on Brianna. She looked like she wanted to melt into the floor. "You," he said evenly. "You want to explain why my daughter's coming home with marks on her neck?" Brianna stammered. I didn't." Jack took a slow step closer, his tone cold but composed. "You think hurting people makes you strong. You think bullying someone who doesn't fight back is power. Let me teach you something about real power. It's protecting, not hurting." He didn't yell. He didn't need to. The authority in his voice made the entire cafeteria hold its breath. The principal rushed in, flustered. "Officer Carter, what's going on?" The Jack turned to him, still calm. "We need to discuss your school's failure to stop harassment before it got physical." Lena sat there quietly, eyes on her father, a mix of pride and guilt in her chest. She hadn't wanted this. But seeing him stand there unwavering, she realized something powerful. Sometimes heroes do show up, just not the way you expect. Brianna's face was pale as the principal led her and her friends away. The students whispered, recording, knowing this was a day they'd never forget. As Jack turned back to Lena, he smiled softly. "Come on, kid. Let's get out of here." "Dad," she said quietly. "You didn't have to." "Yes, I did," he replied gently. "Because when someone says your hero's not here, they need to be reminded he's closer than they think." Lena smiled for the first time in days, and as they walked out together, phones still recording and whispers chasing behind them, one thing became clear. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about respect, and Lena Carter had just earned hers.